Tell me about your mental health.
I think I'm
What is it?
naturally, I'm quite a resilience, and I've got quite a level of resilience and stoicism, which hasn't come easy. It's come through, as we've talked about previously, I think it's come through getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And, there's a mantra that I've always used, which is nothing lasts forever. Change will come and it shall pass. And I think even when I've been in tough times, when I did the Everest Base Camp expedition, I really struggled. I succumbed to altitude sickness literally as I got off the plane at Lukla. And I'd been sort of aware of this. In fairness, Dr. Ben Edwards, we talked about earlier, was very kind and took me into the hyperbaric chambers before I did my trip at John Moores University. And we did various tests, and we noticed that at 4,000 meters, I presented some weird symptoms of my O2 saturation levels would drop drastically. But then they would pick up again after 10 minutes, but then drop. So I was constantly rebounding. So I knew there was potentially going to be an issue. And when I went and landed in Lukla, which is the most dangerous airport in the world, before the trek starts, I felt the effects of altitude even at that level, which was something like 2,800 meters. So I knew that I was very aware of where I was at and very aware of my environment. And I trained really hard. I'd lost weight. I hadn't drunk for nearly 12 months. I'd lost about 10 kilos. I'd been out walking, religiously and in all weathers. So I was well prepared, very fit. But altitude sickness, there's no favourites. It chooses anyone it fancies, even the fittest. And it turns into a real daily, massive struggle. I mean, it was life-changing to the point where, I wasn't sure I was going to see the end of each day. It sounds like I'm exaggerating, but it would literally take me 10 minutes to walk 10 meters. It was horrendous. It really was. I made it to the first acclimatization day at Namche Bazaar with a lot of help and support. Saw a couple of doctors. They prescribed some Diamox, and I had a day to recover sufficiently enough to be fair, they advised I go down, but that wasn't an option. So Mark Wood, the explorer, who actually came on the Connects meetings that we talked about, the 41 Club put on during COVID, he was the Arctic explorer that actually led the mission, and he was brilliant at reading people. And he said, look, we'll make a start and see if you can get to lunchtime and see where we're at. And that's how we did it. We did it in literally small, bite-sized chunks. Literally, at one point, it was 10 meters at a time we were kind of chasing. But it was silly little things that kept me going. The mental health, the resilience there was really tested. And distractions. I know it sounds daft, but it's sometimes the creative process or the thought processes. Keeping it simple, be present. And I started a tradition with my wife many moons ago. I thought it was just going to be a one-off. And I'd gone out for a walk in Snowdonia. And I'd had to lose a lot of hubby points to go and do this. But I thought, what I'll do is I'll bring something back for her. And I found a little tiny heart-shaped stone. And I brought it back for her. And that won me loads of hubby points. Unfortunately, I made a rod for my own back, because now every single walk I go on, I've got to try and find a heart-shaped stone. And I've got to say, they sometimes can be few and far between. But on the last stretch from Gorek Shep to Everest Base Camp, again, we weren't sure that I was going to make it because I was such a bad way.